Alright, we're going to try and do some framing here on the wall. You can see I've already put in some levels here for hopefully the bottom and top. And this one's good, but this one's off. And if you want to make your life a little bit easier, you want the tops of these to be at the same level. So I'm going to hide just to make sure the trim isn't affecting me. I'm going to hide both these temporarily. And you can see, yeah, this one's lined up. This one is not. You might be using a different window than me, so just come in and take a measurement and see what that discrepancy is. So that's 2 inches for me. I'm going to undo the hide bits. And now what I'm going to do, if these start at 3 feet, I'm going to change that to 3'2". And that way it will match the height. Alright, and I had already added in these levels from a different video, but then I decided to change the method to something that might be a little easier. So that's why those are already here. You know how to put in levels. I'm not going to show you that, but I would definitely, before you decide where your header height is and your sill height, make sure to hide the actual, put the window and door in, and then hide them, because there's trim that are going to make it look taller than it really is. So I'm going to hide them again. I'm going to hide this. And I'm seeing a bunch of stuff I don't necessarily want to see. And it can get a little confusing, especially here with this interior wall. So you got a couple options. Normally, if I click on the triangle part here, I should see shape handles. I'm not seeing that. So you can either know what's happening. If you got a really crazy looking one, you might consider coming in though to View tab and then putting in a new elevation. I'm just going to put mine right next to this one. Actually, I'll put it inside so I know which is which. I'll call it West 2. And now if I click on this one, you can see the shape handle is actually here. And so I can drag it really close and know that I'm not going to see. So I'm going to go ahead and open West 2. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hide the Windows category. I'm going to hide the Doors category. And now I'm not seeing that interior wall. I'm not seeing the stairs or anything else. So find your workflow, but this is an option. All right, before we do our beam system, we want to get a few things in place. So I'm going to come into my level 1 copy to start. And I don't know exactly when I draw where it's going to go left to right, but I can make sure it starts and ends where I want, which in this case is the edge of the floor. So I'm going to come into Structure tab. I'm going to go to Beam. And I'm going to make sure to use my bottom top plate. And what is this? Is this? Yeah, this is my floor. I'm just going to click there. Come all the way down here till I get to the other edge of the floor. And it shows you on the bottom left. Alright, so now it's the right length. Now I'm going to come into my south elevation. Is it in there? No, it is not. So I want to move this to the edge of the floor. I'm going to click it. I'm going to say move. Make sure disjoint is on, because otherwise some of this other stuff might move as well. Alright, it's in the right place. Now I want one below each window, I want one above each window, and I want two up here. So I'm going to say copy, I'm going to unconstrain it, I'm going to come straight vertical until I get to the bottom of the window. Now I'm going to have to click unconstrain a second time because Revit is weird. Click unconstrain and come straight back down. And now I'm going to click copy one more time because I know where the bottom of it's supposed to go. So the bottom of it is supposed to go straight down here. Alright, let's take a look at that from West 2. I'm going to go to wireframe. And I need to switch from coarse to fine. If you leave it on coarse, you see a single line indicating where you have stuff. And that's not really helpful. So I've got it. It's on top of our subfloor. It lines up everywhere. Now we need to split this a few times because we don't want these middle ones running the entire distance. So I'm going to say split. I'm going to need 3 of them on this level. So I'm going to split here. I'm going to split here. And I'm going to need 2 of them here. So I'm going to split here. And then underneath, we have to split at the doorway. So I'm going to do that. Now if I click, I'll start at the bottom. I can just use my shape handles. And it should snap to your door opening. Same thing here. Except for now, I'm not going to the door opening, coming all the way to the edge of my window. And these top ones are actually going to need to go 1.5 inches out on either side. But since I don't have any model lines there, I'm going to wait until we have our framing in and done. Alright, that is all of, well, not all. So if we're using 2x6 framing, for most things, our header is going to be a 2x8, which is 7¼ inches above there. So I'm going to come into architecture, model line, I'm going to pick a plane. I'm just going to pick really anything. Yeah, I'll just do the wall. I'll say pick, and I'll say 7.25. And now I have a model line, but I want it to come all the way across because we're going to use it for all of our header openings. All right, almost there. Now I'm going to come into 3D view for a minute. I'm going to click on my wall and I'm going to create parts. Now I want to hide some parts. So I want to hide these first 2. So this is our siding. This is probably our air gap. And now this is our sheathing. And this is what we want to host our beam system. We want to host it to the back side. So I'm going to say structure, beam system. I've got my distance. I want to make sure I'm using 2x6. Click apply. I'm going to say set work plane. I'm going to say pick a plane. And now I'm going to come in to the back side of this. And I'm going to switch to wireframe. It might be a little easier. Yeah, I think it'll be easier from the west. So I'm going to start on this bottom corner. Oh, I'm going to make a rectangle. So I know I want to cover this whole distance. And my beams right now are going to go the wrong direction. I know I want them going up and down. But here's the thing, it's kind of like floors. If you create a fully enclosed shape within a fully enclosed shape, it knows there's an opening there. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go below here. I'm going to turn chain on. No, I don't have an option for chain right now. That's okay. Oh, I'm still in beam direction. That's unfortunate. So let me undo that twice. So now I'm going to go to boundary line. That's why. Actually, I'm just going to try. I'm going to start here. And then I'm just going to move this up. I'm going to have to use trim. It's not going to automatically trim for us. But at least I know I'm snapped to the correct edges. And since we haven't drawn in our 2x8s yet, this gets me in the right place. So now I'm going to go to modify. I'm going to hover over one, click tab until I have the whole chain. I can copy this. Come from here. Ooh, too far. To here. And now we need one at the door. But if I make another rectangle at the door, we're going to have extra lines here. So I need to split this. And now I'm just going to go back to straight lines again. I'm going to turn chain on. I'm going to come straight up to the header. Straight down. And now I'm going to use trim again. And because I split this, I'm not having to redraw a line. So I've got my beam direction. My border starts underneath the top plates and above the bottom plate. It goes below the sill and above the header. It has an opening for the door. And so now I'm going to click OK. And you can see we're slightly off. We're off by half the width. I'm going to check in my 3D. I'm going to see if it actually is where we want it. I'm going to go back to realistic. And it is on the wrong side of this for some reason. That's okay. I can fix it just by clicking on the beam system, coming up into my level 1. I'm going to say move. And so I know if this is the edge of my floor, I want to move it to the inside here. And now I'm going to click move again. And I'm going to go from the midpoint to here. And so now I am lined up with my floor joist. And in theory, I am right behind this. Let me see. Yeah, I'm right on my top plate. Or my bottom plate, I should say. Okay, now that that is done, I'm going to come back in, grab that beam system again. Might be easier to do from west. Or not. Let me come to level 1 and see if it'll let me. I'm going to hide this part again for a second. Okay, give me a second. Sometimes the beam system can be a little tricky to reconnect. Let me try undoing a couple of times. Nope, it's still on. It's parts. There we go. All right. I did all that just so that I could remove the beam system. So once they're lined up, if you try and work with them now, everything is pinned. Whereas if I remove the beam system, now it treats it like individual items. So I'm going to show this on just the window, and you're going to repeat the process. Actually, once you've done this window, you can copy everything to the second window. You can try copying it to the door, but it won't have the same dimensions. So I would only copy half of it. So what we want is some extra support around here. So I'm going to click this. I'm going to say copy. Come from here to here, and now back to here. I'm going to click copy again, because this time I want to know which face I'm doing. Make sure you stay horizontal when you're doing this. Otherwise, things are going to go up and down. So what happens at openings is you get additional support beyond your evenly spaced stuff. So this one right next to the window is sometimes called a trim stud, sometimes a jack stud, and it ends at the same height as the opening. And then this bit here actually extends above it, and so that transfers any loads. So it doesn't end up bowing your window over time. It actually transfers it down the side all the way down like everything else. So we'll have to draw in the 2x8s in a second. Same thing down here for the window sill. We want to take any of that weight and transfer it. So I'm going to pick here, click copy. Click copy again because I'm changing the corner. Alright, almost there. Only thing we need to do is draw a 2x8 in here. I'm going to come into my header level. I'm going to hide the window just to make it a little easier. So now I can see, and this is my opening, but the header needs to come up to this one to transfer the load. So I'm going to come to structure, beam. I'm going to switch this to the 2x8. And same thing here. I want to come from this. I want to go 1.5 inches past my opening. On either side. Alright, it's not going to be perfect, but we can use the align tool. Same thing on the other side. And now I want to line it to this front edge. And then there's a second one over here. But first I'm going to check the 3D view. I'm going to go to wireframe. And you can see, actually it'd be easier to see from West 2. It's almost in the right place. But we are the exact distance below where we need to be as this. So this 2x6 we have is overlapping this right now. So we need to click on the one we just made, and we need to give it a Z offset of 1.5 inches. Click apply. Now it's at the correct height. Now I can come back into header. I can say copy. And they're going to come from this corner to this corner. And that is one completed wall opening. You'll do the exact same thing for the door and this window. If you want to copy from window to window, just make sure You click one, make sure you're holding Control to add to it. We already have this top bit here, but we don't have this, this, or I'm going to hold Control and do a drag, and then I'm just going to filter out my line here. So now I have almost everything. I'm going to add these here and here. Now I can say copy, and I could just come from the inside edge of this window straight over. Now you got all your framing there. All right, hope that helps. I will do another one for the gable end and for roofing.